Well, hello there. My name is Chris Angel, and my pronouns are they, them. Welcome to Allyship is a Verb, the LGBTQ plus podcast that explores and humanizes practicing allyship for the LGBTQ plus community and beyond.
Hey, my name is Dominic, and my pronouns are he, him.
Friends, this is not a typical episode, and the length of the episode may have been your first clue. My longtime friend, Dominic, whose name has been changed to protect his identity, agreed to a conversation because technically he's a trans man, but he's stealth. This is not always an experience we get to hear about due to privacy and it being a deeply personal and complex decision. We get into how we met, what led to him being stealth, what he's still exploring moving forward, and his story overall. I do want to give a content warning for the T slur, F slur, and general transphobia mentioned briefly. Because you're here, you probably do this already, though I encourage you to keep an open mind and heart as you listen to his story. With all of the anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ plus legislation sweeping across the states, as well as what's happening in the UK and beyond, these kinds of stories feel even more important to amplify. It's possible we could see more folks deciding to go stealth, especially if they have the privilege of passing or being read as a binary gender. We could also see people detransition, not only because of states passing legislation forcing them to, which is mostly impacting trans minors right now, though for safety reasons. I've mentored youth before who have had to make these kinds of decisions, and it's heartbreaking because they were so happy to discover being trans and better understand who they are, but lack of support can be a major driving force into pushing people back into any closets or deny who they are, even to themselves. If you haven't already and you would like to get involved to help combat what's happening, please check out HRC's Count Me In campaign. The Human Rights Campaign lists various actions you can take, including learning about transgender myths and facts. Please, let's make sure that no one has to make this kind of decision at any point in life if we can. The goal isn't to force people out or to invite others in. That's not the point. But rather make safer spaces so people can bring their whole selves and feel like they don't have to go into hiding. Here are 3 self-reflection questions to kick us off, and be sure to stay after for 3 more. Number 1. When did I first hear about the LGBTQ plus community? Was it a positive experience? Number 2. Has anyone ever come out to me? If so, looking back, did I potentially ask any invasive questions? Number 3. Have I ever dated anyone who is trans? If not, would I be open to it? Why or why not? And now, the conversation. Where did you even get Dominic from?
So, when I was looking up the name that I wanted to be called after I started transitioning, I used like a name generator that like put in your last name and then it just spewed out like 100 male names. And I don't know, Dominic was just one of the ones that I really liked, in addition, obviously, to the one that I picked. So it was like I narrowed it down to 3, and that was in my top 3. So
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know. I just like the name, but I don't look like a Dominic. Like it doesn't fit me. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a nice name.
I mean, I don't know how a Dominic looks.
More Italian, I feel like.
I've had a Dominic, like a real, I'm going to use heavy air quotes here, real Dominic. I'm just for the listeners so they know what the hell's going on right now.
Right.
I did know a trans guy named Dominic, but that is another story for another day. You're just a fake out, and that's
I'm just
fine.
a fake, yeah. I'm a wannabe Dominic.
Well, great segue. When you're talking about top 3, it reminds me of top 8, which brings us to MySpace. And that's actually how we met.
Yes.
MySpace is a social network that still exists today that launched back in August of 2003. It was popular when I was in high school, and people could choose their top 8 friends, which was public. And as you might imagine, for teenagers, it was a hot mess. Lots of fights broke out over who was in whose top 8. It still exists today, but has shifted to being more about music, technology, and pop culture. We have known each other for a very long time. And yeah, I guess it's I mean, I don't want to get into it too much for things that we'll end up talking about anyway throughout the conversation. I need folks listening to know that our relationship is strangely beautiful. I was just telling Dominic before we got started that I want to call you almost like a brother
Mhm.
because I've just known you so long and you feel like family to me. But we also do this like weird flirting shit, which is it's totally fake. But I don't know. Can you speak to it and like our videos and stuff?
Oh man, it's just, you know what? When I first added you on MySpace years ago, it honestly, and I say this in truth, it was because I thought you were cute.
Yeah, no, it was mutual. It was
And
mutual.
right, and I still think that you're super cute,
Thank
and there's
you.
nothing wrong with that.
Okay, I'm
But yeah.
glad we can admit attractions here because I am going to your wedding soon, even though you're
Yes,
already married because
right.
COVID. And so it feels good to say that because I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Listen,
attractive.
you're
So
attractive.
anyway,
I
great.
respect that. So yeah, no, I mean, it's always been flirty, but at the end of the day, I feel like we have a really strong friendship and you are like a sibling to me as well, and I love that about our relationship. Like we can, and we've seen this throughout the course of our friendship, we can talk for daily for months and then not speak for 6 months because of life happening and then pick up the next day like I just saw you yesterday, and I love those types of friendships because that to me is like a true, like at its core, lifelong friendship, and I feel like that's what we have, and I really do appreciate that, and having that with you.
It's completely mutual because I just think about how much our relationship has evolved over the years. And it started based on lies, mostly to like your mom,
Right.
who won't be listening, so that's good. But
Yep.
so hi mom. But it started in lies because we were babies. We were babies and you flew out to California with your
Mhm.
family and we got to meet in person.
Yep.
And that could have been horribly wrong
Yes.
for so many reasons, but it was great. And like, I don't know, like your mom didn't pry too much into like how we knew each other and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have been able to lie
Right.
about where you live and like what schools we went to and stuff. But like, it was awkward and cute, and I still have them. But we took all of these photos of each other too, just being awkward and cute together.
We're gonna have to retake those at my wedding. Get the professional photographer. Yeah.
And then I won't be able to share them with
Right.
anyone for reasons that we'll get into very soon.
Yes, but
However, I've been fortunate. I felt, really good that over the years, you've been able to come out to California a few times and we've been able to hang out that way because like you've met a previous partner that I've had. And okay, here's like why we're always doing this awkward dance is because we're just too perfect together.
yes.
When we take photos together, they always end up looking like an engagement shoot. And like you recently sent me a potato with our faces on it from one
Yep.
of those photos, and it was
Yep.
beautiful.
True friendship right here.
And I've always wanted someone to send me a potato. And I know, again, folks, this sounds so weird, but like, what is it called? Like potato
Potato parcel.
parcel? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just one of those like weird things that you see online at some point, and then you think, yeah, that's like, for the person who has everything,
Mhm.
here's a potato with your face on it. Um, but like it was perfect. Yeah. Because you just sent that to me for Valentine's Day, and I was just like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
this is, because I happened to stumble upon it on like an Instagram ad or something, and I was like, who would appreciate this?
me. Something else folks should know about our relationship is over the years I've made really weird songs for us, and sometimes we turn those into like music videos that we'll send each other. And It's everything, and it makes me happy. And we're long overdue for one.
We are.
So
Yeah.
I'm just sitting with it. But we have like weird expressions. Like, I don't even remember how we started saying the like, hey, have you hugged your pants today? And that I hug your pants, and that I will literally hug your pants when I see you
Yes, I expect you,
at the
on your
wedding.
knees,
Yeah.
pants,
Okay.
hugging.
Well, good thing this is marked as explicit, this podcast. Folks, please just hang in, and I promise just stick it out here. But yeah, no, I needed people to know that, yeah, we have this really beautiful relationship, and there's a lot of parallels that we've had in our lives.
Mhm.
And I think that's what's helped to also make our bond stronger, you know? So
Yeah, agreed.
sweet. All right. Well, all of that awkwardness out of the way. I'm glad that we could speak to the friendship and everything. So, what does being a man mean to you? And have you had any role models or anyone who has helped you to shape what it means to be a man? And also, what has it been like to explore manhood? I'm just going to throw a million questions at you.
Yeah, that's fine. Um, so that's a tough one for me because I'm a little torn with it. Like, part of me feels like because logistically and like medically and realistically, I know I'm trans, so I shouldn't care about being in the binary or living my life in a binary way. But at the same time, at my core, like I really just identify as male and as a man. So for me, I guess if I have to describe it, being a man is someone who is a leader, provides for his family, is emotionally strong, strives to be the best he can be, takes initiative. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that all other genders and identities and everything can't have those same qualities. That's kind of what I align to, I guess, when I think about what it means to be a man. I don't really have any role models, really, because I feel like also at my core, my personality and everything hasn't really changed since I transitioned. I feel like I have always acted the way that I act currently. My personality is the same. So there wasn't anyone who I really looked up to or used as a role model to like shape me. It's just how I present now outwardly aligns better with how society views me and therefore makes me feel better about myself. As far as like exploring manhood, the craziest thing to me that I still to this day don't understand is just the dynamics of relationships are completely different.
Mm,
Like, and there's so many other things that I feel like I have to pay attention to or keep in mind, like when I'm out and about. So, for instance, if I'm walking alone late at night and there is a woman nearby, I make sure to keep my distance because I don't want anyone to ever feel threatened by me or anything like that. And obviously, I like to make the joke like back when I was a lesbian, like pre-transition.
yeah. Yeah.
Those were things I thought about, but like the other side of it.
Mhm.
And then also just conversing with guys is completely different than conversing with females. Like I transitioned in college, and when I came back in the fall as Dominic, I was in like a gender neutral housing type situation, and the room next to me was like three dudes. Every time I talked to them, it was like, "Hey man, what's up, bro?" Total like locker room talk about women, and it was absolutely disgusting to me because I'm used to not interacting with men in that way, and then to have those interactions, it was shocking, I guess, in a way. Where obviously I had seen on the news and in TV shows and everything how guys talk to each other, but to just kind of like experience that suddenly out of nowhere, it was a little jarring. And then also with women, like I'll never forget, I started hormones like in the spring semester, and then I came back in the fall as Dominic, like after top surgery and everything. And I hadn't come out like to anyone, like I was just Dominic. Like suddenly, fall semester, here's Dominic out of nowhere. And I was talking to this girl like outside our class, and she was complaining about period cramps. And she was going on and on and on. And then at the end, she's like, "But you wouldn't understand because of you and your damn penis." And I was like, "Yep."
You're like, actually, oh, wait.
uh, yes, that is, yep. I would never understand period cramps. So yeah, just like little back and forths like that have been interesting to navigate over the years.
I'm really glad you touched on all of that because those are very similar experiences I've had. Like those moments where it's like I have these like internal jokes with myself. I always want to be able to turn to someone and be like, well, this is awkward.
Right.
Every time I see like a Girl Scout table and I want to be like, oh yeah, I was a brownie. And then they'll be like, sure.
Sure you were. Right.
Yeah. Cause like my identity has evolved to be trans, non-binary, and queer, but people read me as a guy all the time, and sometimes they read me as a gay man, and that helps honestly because in those situations you mentioned with women or femme presenting people, that yeah, when all of a sudden you're seen as a threat, but like that's like what you were socialized to look out for, it is a mind fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, I'm the very thing that I was like taught to fear by society.
Right.
Even though I don't identify as a man in my case, I'm so mindful and anxious when I'm in spaces where it's mostly women. You know, I'm thinking when I'm doing a spin class or yoga or something, and just even hell, when I was in my social work program, it was the same thing. And then when like on one hand, one person would see me as a threat and, you know, grab their purse and walk faster. Another would be like, can you walk me to my car? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But the locker room talk, and I feel like I have to say something about it and to lean on my privilege, but like it feels weird and it feels gross that I've
Yep.
been given more privilege just again based on how people are perceiving me, and it's just not something I'm used to. It's been hard for me because I just don't feel safe calling a bunch of guys out saying this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Because I have to think about my safety too, and like, are they going to jump me and be like, "What are you, a faggot or something?" Because that it very well could be like my reality.
Yeah, exactly.
So, how do you deal with that pressure and the locker room talk and everything? How has that been for you?
I definitely I don't respond to it. Like I don't I disengage very quickly when it happens.
Yeah,
It depends on how well I know the person. If I know the person better, I'm more likely to say something to them. Like I remember I was in the office just talking to like a bunch of guys. One of the guys is around my age and I'm friendly with him. We're younger. And he was saying how, oh, he's going to Vegas and he's going to hook up with this tranny and blah blah blah. And I was like, dude,
oh,
you can't say words like that. Especially like we're in the office, so that's like huge no no. What are you even thinking?
right. If you guessed that I was about to do a voiceover, you guessed correctly. Great job there. Okay. Hoo hoo hoo. Let's go on a bit of a journey together. The T slur is an abbreviation of transvestite. There's been debate over the years to decide if it's a term to reclaim or if it's hate speech. People like RuPaul have used it a lot, so many who watched Drag Race or Project Runway early on may be familiar with it as a result. Because of this, folks like Lance Bass thought it was okay to use because it was normalized for him, though Lance later apologized after learning it wasn't acceptable. There are trans activists and drag performers who advocate for and against the use of the term. Present day, it's okay for people to reclaim the term and embrace it as an identity for themselves. However, people outside of the community should caution against using it and perhaps default to saying something like T slur instead for any educational purposes. Part of the controversy with RuPaul is he said, and this is a direct quote, "I believe that everybody, you can be whatever the hell you want to be. I ain't stopping you, but don't you dare tell me what I can do or say. It's just words. Yeah, words do hurt. You know what? You need to get stronger. You really do, because you know what? If you're upset by something I said, you have bigger problems than you think." End quote. He also had criticism for repurposing the term she-male, spelled Shemale, into she-male, spelled Mail. However, it did end up getting removed from his show. Friends, I think this points to a larger debate of whether or not drag performers fall under the transgender umbrella at all, and thus if RuPaul can die on the hill of defending the T slur. When I was first learning about the community years and years ago, the transgender umbrella did include drag performers, cross dressers, and more. I couldn't find any good present day representations of that, but all of that to say, at the time of this recording, I'm not really sure if communities like drag performers and cross dressers still fall under the trans umbrella. I think it depends. What about drag performers or cross dressers who end up realizing they are, in fact, transgender? That feels more clear. Otherwise, I honestly don't know. I'm going to have to keep researching because I think it's something interesting to explore further. For now, back to the conversation.
But two, that's like completely inappropriate. Like use proper language. Like, so I took that as a moment to educate, but at the same time, I do know him well enough where I can guarantee it went in one ear and out the other. And my words mean absolutely nothing to him because that's just his personality. And I'm still going to say it because I feel compelled and I need to, especially
Mhm.
because I do have a good relationship with him at work. But at the same time, if I don't know someone, I have those same fears that you do. Like I don't want it to maybe completely break a relationship that I'm trying to build, for instance. But at the
Right.
same time, I do want to educate people kind of where I can. Um, yeah, it's it's like walking on eggshells, I guess. It could go south.
Yeah, it's really tricky because there's just such a focus on manhood and like
Hmm.
all of what comes with that in our society and the expectations. And yeah, if you're not living up to that, then what? Like, oh, are you soft or something? Toxic masculinity. Our next video coming out. No.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
I love it though. I love our relationship.
Me too.
We both identified as lesbians, lol, for a minute
Mhm.
as part of our journey. And I will just note that's not everyone's journey. However, I think you and I had a challenging time finding language for how we felt about ourselves, and you're nodding. So I'm curious, how has your identity evolved over the years? And what kind of language did you find yourself using throughout the process?
Yeah, so I actually genuinely have you to thank for even giving me the knowledge of it because until you came out as trans to me, like I had no idea that it was a thing. It was all those like thoughts and feelings that I had over the years, and then when you told me what you were doing, I was like, wait a second. And that's why like I forced you to talk to my mom on the phone a bunch of times because I was trying to gauge her reaction to it. But really, it's like
Wait a minute.
I talk about you all the time. when
This is
I
news to me.
when I like tell people, because kids are coming out as trans, especially like younger and younger, and a lot of that does have to do with the media and everything talking about trans people more often. But back in the day when we were transitioning, like it wasn't really talked about. Like you could find some sources on it and whatever, but there really wasn't a lot of information about it. And so really, I had no idea that it was even a thing until you brought it to my attention. That literally was life changing for me. um, but as far as my like identity over the years, yes, I did come out as a lesbian when I was 14. Because at that time I was thinking, okay, like I'm attracted to women, so logically I must be a lesbian. Like my logic was back then was very basic at 14, like I only
Right.
knew about like bisexual and lesbian and gay, so that's all I knew.
Well, wait, how did you even learn about those terms?
So that's a good question. So when I was freshman in high school, and maybe this is embarrassing for my education, but I went to a school play
Mhm.
and a girl, I was like talking to my friends and they introduced me to a girl who they were friendly with. And the girl hit on me and like wrote down her phone number and like ripped it off and like handed it to me like from the playbill and everything, and I was so excited, and I like didn't really know what these emotions meant because it was the first time I had any type of like, I guess, kind of romantic thing go on for me.
Mhm.
um and then during that conversation at the school play, whatever, she had told me that she's out as gay. And I was like, I don't really know. Like, I had heard of it, but I wasn't really aware of what it meant. But then after she gave me her phone number, and I was like, wow, I'm hot shit right now. I went home.
Yes.
I
Yes.
went home and I researched it because I really didn't know. Like, my school, they didn't talk about anything LGBTQ and really just LGB until I think your junior year of high school. So I was a freshman. So I had really no knowledge of anything related to it. So that was really the first time. And then I was like, oh, wait a second. So I think I might have come out as bi for like 2 weeks. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I don't care about dudes.
Yeah.
you know, that was high school. And then you came out and told me you were transitioning and going through all of that. And I started researching it. Um, and then I realized like, oh, I'm trans too. Here I go. And in the beginning, I definitely identified like as transgender or like FTM or a trans guy.
F to M is considered an outdated term. It would be the letters F, T, and M together. Sometimes, instead of the T, it would be written with the number 2, meaning female to male. Sticking within the gender binary, we saw the same thing with trans women. So it would be MTF or M2F, and it stood for male to female. This was largely the language we used before we made the recent switch to assigned female at birth, AFAB, or assigned male at birth, AMAB.
And I felt that that was an easy way for me to find other people like me. Um, but then at the end of the day, like as I kept transitioning or going through the process, really, um, I don't know, like I knew that I didn't want to be seen as trans for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
And knowing that it was possible to transition and then just live my life like a guy and no one be any wiser to that, that started to become really appealing to me because that's ultimately what I wanted. I'm not really like an activist-y type person. I was never like going to a ton of pride events or doing anything like that. I just kind of wanted like that boring like white picket fence type life, and then like the trans thing kind of threw it for a little bit of a loop. But so now, having for my purposes fully transition, like what I would consider a full transition for myself, identify as a man now, and I think relatively quickly, like within a year or two of transitioning, the kind of trans identity went away a bit, and it really just became, this male identity, I guess, that I have now.
Yeah, you became Dominic.
Yep.
I mean, okay, so first off, we're gonna have to back up a minute. So you took me on a roller coaster of emotions. They were very strong. I like imagine Mariah Carey like singing in the background. Like you've got me feeling emotions.
Mm.
You and I didn't go grab it from my closet because I didn't want to embarrass you, but you wrote me a really thoughtful note back in the
Did
day.
I don't remember writing that.
Yeah, I know. Well, you were thoughtful.
Wow. Look at me, younger me. Go younger me. I had no idea.
You wrote me a letter in the mail and you sent it to me and basically just saying that because of me, just everything you had just said
Yeah.
a minute ago, that because of everything I'd shared with you and all of that, that it gave you like that permission to be and explore who you are and everything. And it touched me so much. And I remember ugly crying. But then you quickly took me on a new emotion because I didn't know you were throwing me at your mom to be like, okay, mom, what are you gonna do here? Your mom and I, we don't like talk nearly as much as we did for a bit there. And
Yeah.
I felt like a good relationship with her. Obviously, I don't know what she says behind my back, but now you
She
can tell
loves
me.
you. She's so fond of you. I told her you're coming to the wedding, and like,
Oh,
if I could photograph her face in that moment, because she wasn't sure if you were coming,
yeah.
she like, I've never seen her so excited to see someone. And she's like, I'm gonna stay Saturday night, and then Chris Angel and I can hang out and we'll talk. And I was like, all right, mom, like my friend, not yours. But she's very excited to see you.
Oh, it's gonna be good to see you both because it's been long overdue that my ass is paying to like see you. So I'm
Yeah,
finally doing it. Yeah, it only took you getting married. It's fine.
it's fine.
That'll be really great. And I'm happy to hear that. And you know what? Like it reminds me of 2 episodes ago, I had a guest on named Katrina, and we talked about something called a safety pause. And that's what you're reminding me of, is just like those little things that we do to test if someone's safe. Like, can we come out to them? Can we share something really vulnerable with them? So I'm glad you almost threw me under a bus, basically, because if that was like a way to help everything, like your relationship with your mom, that's fine. It all worked out, thank goodness. I'm glad that you had like a way that felt safe to you of approaching that conversation with her.
Yeah. Yeah, it was because, it's different when your own child comes out
Yes.
as trans, completely
Yes.
different. But, and my mom, I mean, my parents are the most liberal people you'll ever meet anyway. I wasn't really concerned about it, but I knew she had never really, I mean, I'm sure she had heard about it, but she wasn't like well versed in anything trans related. So it was kind of like, and I apologize to use you in that way, but it was kind of like
Use me,
her,
baby.
like,
It's okay.
your listeners are gonna be like,
I know.
what
This
the
is just
heck?
how we talk to each other.
I know, I can't help it. But yeah, it was kind of like her, I want to call it like initiation into kind of how transitioning goes for some people, as like an entry point for me to be like, so see how successful this has been? Well, and see how much you don't mind? Here, let me tell you a little fun fact about myself as well as your only child.
When you did share about who you are with her, I mean, you started touching on it just now, but yeah, I guess like how did that conversation go? Was it like emotional at any point, or like, okay, cool, or yeah, how did that go if you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, sure. So I was away at college, so I wrote my mom a letter. I didn't even address it to my stepdad because I knew he would be 100% comfortable with it. So I addressed it to my mom and I explained everything. And I also, because my mom, I have a similar personality to her, so I know her very well, I gave her resources of like, here are safe spaces to do your research in. Don't go Google hormone replacement therapy and find some like random website.
Yeah.
So at the time, my mom, she got home from work at like 4:10. I think I got a phone call from her at like 4:11 and 35 seconds. She had read the letter and, her first words out of her mouth was, I love you, I support you no matter what, blah blah blah, and we're talking, and we're talking, and then like one of the first questions she asked me was, "Who are you going to have sex with?"
Oh my gosh, mom.
And I was like, "Mom, I know you're in shock right now, but that's not really one of the first questions I was expecting you to ask me." She meant well,
Yeah.
and I think that she reacted in the best possible way she could have. I think that her reaction was more positive than negative. It was more just, I support you, but also like, what the heck is going on? And like, what does this mean? And what is happening? And she didn't want me to go on hormones for a while until I was back at home. I've heard 1,000 times from 1,000 parents. Like every parent has the same process, kind of not every parent, but a lot of parents go through kind of the same thoughts and feelings that my mom went through. So it was nothing unreasonable or whatever. But yeah, she wanted me to wait to start on hormones because I had come out to her in October and I wanted to start on hormones in March. And she was like, "Why don't you wait until the summer?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm an adult. I'm gonna do it."
Sorry, mom.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and then when I would come home from spring break and Christmas break and all of those winter break, she would try not to bombard me with questions, and I could tell that it was hard for her not to, but she did it in all like looking back on it, although at the time I was very stressed by her and overwhelmed by her. Looking back on it, she did try her best. She really wasn't as overwhelming as it felt to me in the time.
Yeah.
But, it was a few too many questions
Yeah.
for me all at once.
What I see happening is like you're just trying to still come to terms with this yourself because this is very new for
Right.
you. And you're only a few steps ahead of her at that point. And so guiding her
Right.
through that is a lot while you're still trying to figure out all of your piece. And yeah, like
Exactly.
as much as I get like the sex question, I see it as her trying to just make sure she understands you fully. And I imagine she was
Yeah.
also worried about like grandkids and stuff. But like, yeah, the impact though is
Yeah.
this is really invasive. And like, let's maybe take
Right.
this one step at a time. And like, let me tell you when I'm ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, good intentions, but and when people are frazzled like that, like you can expect that people react maybe not in the way that they would have wanted to had they had the chance to like sit down and process it. But for something that big, especially at the time, because like we talked about, trans really wasn't in the media, like you didn't really know much about it.
Mhm.
I feel like it was even harder for her to process initially because it was like completely brand new to her versus maybe like for if I had come out today, she might have had more awareness about it and known like, okay, this is kind of the process of what happens and it's safe and all of that.
For sure. Yeah. Love the fact that she started with her love for you. And
Mhm.
also, yes, it can be scary because you want to hope that you're doing right by your child. And like, what if things aren't reversible? And like, are you sure? And so there's a lot of that can come through. And yeah, to just trust your kid that they've been doing the work to figure out who they are and what they need can be a lot when you're like hardwired to worry about their safety.
Exactly.
So like it can be hard for us to forget that when we're just like, can you just be on board, please? Thank you.
Right.
I have a world telling me that I shouldn't exist and everything. So please be at least one person who's just loudly loving me.
Exactly.
You started touching on this a bit, and we'll definitely come back to your relationship with your mom later. But one of the reasons I'm so grateful that you have been open to doing this episode with me is because you are stealth or private and thus like a hard person to track down. How do you define stealth? And let's start there before I ask you a million questions on top of that.
So to me, being stealth means that really the only people who know that I'm trans and about like my previous life as a woman are the people who, I'm intimate with, which right now is just my wife, or the people who knew me
Mm.
pre-transition, or my doctors, of course. That's really what it means to me, I guess, if that answers it.
Yeah. Well, like I tell all of my guests, you answer however the hell you want
Yes, that is my answer. Final answer.
as you pound the desk. Very manly. I love
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Could you share more about what led to the decision of becoming stealth?
I know logistically and realistically and medically, I think I said this earlier, like I know that technically I'm transgender. I have done a lot of speaking engagements at high schools and colleges and businesses and doctors' offices, and it felt really great at the time to represent the community like that. But at the same time, there is a big part of me that just kind of wants to blend into society a bit and not have to outwardly deal with the hate and kind of struggle that comes along with being trans. And I like it pains me to say that out loud because I know that that is, coming from a huge place of privilege. Like to anyone in the world, I just look like a normal heterosexual white guy,
Mhm.
so I recognize the amount of privilege that comes along with saying that, and I almost don't feel comfortable saying it out loud, but I'm going to because I think it needs to be said because there are other people like me who feel that way.
Yes.
But in a lot of LGBTQ spaces, that is tends to be frowned upon. Yeah, I mean, as I progressed with my transition, it just became more and more important for me to start to blend. And then as I was doing these talks at businesses and everything, there have been a few instances where it has come a little too close to home. So, where someone who I actually knew unexpectedly came to one of those things, and then I was like, oh, you might out me at a place that I don't want to know. I don't want them to know I'm
Yeah.
trans. And it made me extremely uncomfortable. Also, once I started dating my now wife, we haven't told her side of the family. They are a little bit more or they are conservative for the most part. So we are anxious. Like we're very nervous for them to find out that, and hopefully they never do.
Hmm.
But that also became a concern. The more talks and everything, and the more visible that I became, the riskier it made my life, basically, like the life that I've built for myself, I should say.
Hmm.
And just over time, it became less and less desirable for me to live that kind of more open lifestyle. So I've kind of dialed it back over the years.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say I think it's incredible that you shared your story at all and that you are here today and that I think it's valid because not all of us need to be activists, you know? Like if you want to have a nice quiet life, like I want that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't I want people to do what's going to make them happy. And I say that cuz we're kind of polar opposites cuz I am like really loud and vocal about being trans and everything, but like I don't look at you and go, "Ah, damn it, Dominic. Like why aren't you out here fighting the good fight?" Cuz you have in your own way and you are just by like existing. To me that's enough. You don't necessarily have to be in the parades and all that. And there's like a million trains of thoughts trying to leave the station right now, and I'm realizing I didn't take my ADHD meds this morning, so that probably is why.
That's okay.
Forgot. Better
That's
do
okay.
that really soon. Whoopsies, but I am definitely leaving this in because this is just what it's like. But for folks trying to make a decision whether or not they may want to go stealth or be private about who they are, what would you want to say to someone someone considering that to offer support in making that kind of decision? And is there anything that was helpful for you?
Yeah, I think it comes down to like determining the life you want to have and how comfortable you feel about. Again, this sounds like really bad to say out loud, but like how comfortable you feel living in a potential day to day where someone could harass you and all of that. I really commend people like yourself who are really more the activist style and can kind of handle that. It's just not really, the life that I wanted to have.
Mhm.
But it's also difficult to see. It's like you need the visibility because obviously change can't happen without that visibility and that activism and everything that goes along with it. But then when you're researching, transitioning, and that whole process and everything, you're only really, a lot of times, you're only really seeing that side of it. So then you start to kind of think to yourself, like, well, am I doing something wrong by just wanting kind of that simpler, quieter life? So I guess what I would say to that is do what's best for you. Don't worry about maybe what you visibly see as like the normal path for trans people or whatever, whatever you're looking for. Like do ultimately what is best for you and what you think will make you the happiest. And that really is what it comes down to. Like people should just kind of what you said, like I just want everyone to be happy with whatever path they choose and they shouldn't have to worry about, how society will impact that or not.
Yeah. We'll be right back after this break. Did your kid just come out to you as lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, or some part of the broader LGBTQ plus community? Are you not sure what to do next or how to affirm and support them? Rebecca Miner, the gender specialist, has a guide just for you. Inside, you'll find a checklist of immediate next steps you can take, some facts and figures about LGBTQ youth and family support, curated resources, and a message from her, including some of the ways she can support you in this process. Rebecca is a licensed clinical social worker in Boston who works with parents across the United States to learn how to better support their children. She's created these free guides so you don't have to figure this out alone. Let her help you show up for your child in celebration of their authentic self. To learn more, visit genderspecialist.com/nowwhat. Do you struggle with pronouns and how to use them? Did someone recently come out to you with a new to you pronoun set and you have no idea how to practice? Maybe you just aren't sure what to do if you misgender someone. You can take my online pronouns course. Self-paced and pay what you can, it's been helpful for folks wanting to do better. Read the reviews for yourself. You can find it at lgbtq.school. Thank you for listening. And now back to the learning. Something that came up in a previous conversation too was that there were different pockets of the LGBTQ plus community that you were in when you were along the journey of discovering who you are and everything. And I'm wondering if you could share more on like what kind of events and things you used to participate in and why you felt it was best for you to like leave those spaces.
So back when I was a lesbian, so I'm just gonna start every
We're gonna
answer with
just
that.
be super dramatic.
Back. 19 billion years ago when
Jeez.
I was a lesbian. Oh, I don't know. I'm making up an age. I could be whatever age I
I
want.
mean, I was gonna at some point be like, just so folks know, as like a reference point, I'm gonna be 35 this year, and you just had a birthday. So what age do
I
you
did.
want to tell people, Dominic?
So 19 billion isn't
No, I
accurate? You
don't.
don't think that's right? Okay, I'm 32.
Great.
So,
Okay,
yes.
that's what we're going with. Good.
Anyway, so back when I was a lesbian, I used to go I used to go to like I mean, I didn't go all the time, but I would go to like pride events or like in college I went to like the Rainbow Center, the LGBTQ center that we had. And there were a few like my high school kind of had an LGBT group, but kind of not because it was like made fun of. So I would occasionally I went to like a social group for LGBT kids. Like I did go because I felt like I had a community and I felt like it was a really easy way to make friends. Like it's hard to make friends at any age, but I felt like it was like, okay, I know these people are going to accept me because they're like me. So I would do a lot of that. And then when I came out as trans, I really tried to focus on finding like trans specific events and groups and everything, but there weren't any. And when I just stumbled upon this online forum slash chat room. It was called the Men's Room. It was just a bunch of trans guys, and that group to me was really pivotal for my transition because these guys they got me into like really good doctors and they had a ton of knowledge because I was having a hard time like even finding an endocrinologist that would take me for
Yeah.
hormones. I'd call an endocrinologist's office and I'd say like, "Oh, do you take transgender patients or do you do hormone replacement therapy for trans people?" And they would hang up on
Oh my
me.
God.
Or one lady even yelled, I'll never forget this. She yelled, "No, we don't deal with those people," and hung up on me and like actually yelled.
What the
It was
fuck?
like, okay. And then one time thought I had finally found a doctor and they claimed that he had a 6 month long waiting list. And I was like, fine, I'll get on the waiting list. And I called every single month. And every single month they said, no, it's still 6 months. And then after 3 or 4 months, I finally got someone else on the phone. And that person that's just said, like, no, no, he retired like a year ago.
What the
And
hell?
I was like, so what waiting list have I been on? There's no other doctor. I don't understand. I even, through this men's room, I drove literally 10 hours to numerous states away to go to a support group that was specific to trans guys and just to like meet another trans person in person. So like I felt like I was doing kind of everything I could do to like meet other LGBTQ plus people. But then as I started transitioning and like blending into more of the heteronormativity of society, it like everything kind of changed. Like I started to feel like I lost that sense of community. And I think we touched upon this already a little bit, but I started having slightly more like negative experiences in the LGBTQ spaces, and it made me pull away. Like I felt not unsafe in any way because I don't want to give off that impression, but just unwelcome because when I pass and now that I pass rather, and if I go into those spaces, everyone's just thinking like, all right, well, what's this heterosexual guy doing here? Like he shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Or earlier on in my transition, when I was more out as trans, I would hear a lot of people in those spaces saying, well, the T shouldn't be an LGBT, like you need to leave, and all of that. So it became a very unwelcoming environment, which was very upsetting to me at the time because I didn't know where else to go. So I felt like I was transitioning because that's what I needed to do for me, but then completely losing the community that I had built most of my life on at the same time. And no one's wrong for seeing me and going in an LGBTQ space and thinking like, what's this heterosexual guy doing here? Because ultimately, that's how I want people to see me. So it's a little conflicting. It does give me that kind of lost community that I had for so long. So then, over time, that has caused me to kind of pull away from that community completely.
So we both identified as lesbians. I don't know what the fuck
Oh,
I
now
said.
you got an accent with
I
it.
don't know what happened. I I don't know what happened. I meant to just lower my voice. And then this.
I love it. Please keep that in because I need all of your listeners to hear
Uh,
whatever the hell that was.
oh, it slipped out on another episode. I can't even remember what happened right now off the top of my head. And I was like, well, there's no going back now.
That's it.
Oh, I did my like movie
Oh
in
yeah,
a
I know what you're talking
world
about.
kind of voice.
Yes.
Okay, that's what happened. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it's fine. I
I
don't
love
even know
it.
what the hell that was. That's fine. We'll leave it. Okay. I know for me, and this came up in my episode with Jaffe for folks who listen to that, but we started to broach toward the subject of what happened when I came out
Mhm.
and broke away from the lesbian community. And part of it was that people, it's like quote unquote friends, vandalized my car, all sorts of bullshit went down. And it was horrible because at the time there was a trans person who had just been attacked because he was at a school, another college campus, just a few hours or so from me. And I'm not gonna like take everyone through the horrifics of it, but he was physically assaulted and left with, I think, permanent injuries. And I was always wondering when I was going to be next because just like you did, and to this day, I still share my story. And I've always just wondered, like, when am I going to regret that? And like, when am I going to get attacked for it or something? And so when I came out one day and like after work and saw that my car was vandalized, I mean, yeah. So like finding out that it was my so-called friends, and there's like a whole longer like story here to this, but that really hurt.
Of course.
And then I realized I wasn't welcome in the lesbian community anymore. And I mean, it made sense because it's not the identity I was carrying or using for myself. But gosh, the ejection from that was just so harsh and so quick. And I had nowhere else to go yet that it was devastating. Like, I lost, I mean, and at the same time, my family kicked me out of my home because my beard was coming in. So I was devastated. I was gutted as a human. It was a very dark period for me. And those would have been the couches I would have been surfing on, but they weren't available. So, yeah, navigating homelessness and everything in that was just brutal. So, like you said, trying to go to the lesbian clubs anymore or any of it, it's just like everyone just like sharply would look at me and just be like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, this isn't your space. And it's like, well, I kind of was you for a hot minute.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, did similar. Yeah, I guess I'm wondering like if similar things happened for you, like how it felt for you to lose the community, or if there was just anything else you wanted to share about that.
It's disappointing to be, and again, no one's doing anything wrong by this because ultimately this is what I wanted, right? It's like the consequences of my actions. But yeah, it just really sucks to like think that it says LGBTQ plus, right? And you think like, okay, I'm in the T, so I must be welcome here.
Yeah,
And then reality hits and you're like, oh, like no, in a lot of these spaces. I'm not. Over the years, I would say, as more and more people are starting to transition, I do see a lot of LGBTQ spaces having significantly more T people in it, which has helped. But then at this point, like I'm so far removed and so far gone from it that I like, and because I'm stealth, like I don't. I guess there's an internal part of me that wants to go back to the community and like be involved, but at the same time, like it conflicts with the life I have built now, so I don't feel like I can do that anymore.
yeah, and well, I guess the only thing I would love to push back on gently and lovingly, baby,
Yes.
um, just always have to make it weird and awkward.
Ah,
But is that this idea that like you don't belong in the spaces? Like, I do think internally in our community, just broadly, the LGBTQ plus community, my hope is that we can learn to, I want to say, assume positive intent, that
mhm.
you're not trying to enter a space to necessarily be this like gross cis man here to try to hit on the lesbians or something or
Right.
convert them, right? But rather, maybe there's a reason you are there because you're trying to be a patron and show allyship by like supporting a lesbian owned bar or something, or that, yeah, the holding complexity for that maybe you are a trans guy or maybe you could be pansexual.
Hmm.
all of that. But like we can make snap judgments within our community. And gosh, all the years I even went to different pride celebrations, there was like anytime there was a couple that was perceived to be straight, I mean, the tension
Right.
of that feeling of being unwelcome, like I could feel it and I wasn't even part of that. And I always felt horrible because it's like, we don't know their story.
Right.
We don't know what's going on. We don't know how they identify really. I mean, we're assuming they're this straight couple, but that's like really our problem that we think that. And
Right.
so just holding space for complexity that whether they're an ally or not or whatever, unless it's like a dedicated space that we're saying it's only a certain group tonight or something, like, and that's it. Because
Right.
I do think it's important for sub communities to have their own safe spaces to process stuff, to be in community with each other, etc.
I agree.
However, I wish we could extend some kindness and curiosity and trust that like people are there who need to be there or who want to be there. So I hear you, and I'm getting guard
Yes.
dog for you because I think it speaks to a larger issue within our community.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's tough. Like, I really struggle with those thoughts and feelings too, because I get it. Even just using your example or your experience, rather. Like, for people who maybe have grown up as gay and then get harassed and their car totaled, like, sure, like, I can totally get why you see a heterosexual perceived male come into your space and then you feel uncomfortable by that. Yeah, I can totally understand that. But it's just, like you said, like, kind of having that maybe assume positivity and assume positive intent, when you see someone like that, I think is important.
Because we just had Trans Day of Visibility not that long ago. And I also hosted a really awesome panel for it. If folks haven't seen that yet, I'll go ahead and link it in the episode. There's a lot of vocal trans folks saying visibility isn't always great because it doesn't also assure safety. This morning, I literally slapped a new bumper sticker on my car that I created, and it has the intersex inclusive rainbow flag on it, and it says say gay, say trans. And I was terrified. I was kind of trembling as I was putting it on my car because I've never, like you talked about, like someone's car getting totaled or something. Like I've never put that kind of stuff on my car before because I can't afford to deal with if someone's going to vandalize it, if someone's going to like,
Yeah.
I don't know, get road rage with me. I'm terrified. And again, I know I have this privilege that I didn't earn and that feels gross and all the stuff that we've already discussed, but I don't think I don't know how much it will save me from that. I don't know what I'll do if and when something bad happens as a result of this, but I do know that, being in Denver now and also having been in Los Angeles, these have been arguably more progressive spaces. When I see other people do it, I think, I just got to get my shit together and do this. I got to do this because I want to be visible, because what it does, like even in our story, of
Yeah.
how it helped you to learn about the trans community. It means a lot because I know what it was like for me to read books, and Leslie Feinberg gave me that permission and helped me awkwardly figure out about the community. So I guess all of this awkward rambling to say that I do think visibility is important, and also we got to figure out what to do to make it safer for folks, because it just comes with so much, and not all of it's good because I'm constantly fearing for my life, and that's not a great feeling.
Definitely not.
But I can't stop doing it because I'm like, but we need people to be visible.
Yeah, and like part of me wishes I could be, I want to say, as great as you are. But
Oh my God, no. I am not trying to flex. That's what I'm
No, I
saying.
know.
I'm scared and terrified. I have no idea what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
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 Like you said, you used to do these speaking engagements and you would share your story, and you've already touched on kind of what inspired you to stop. And what's also cool about you, but I'm also not trying to put pressure on you, is that you and your mom actually co-run an LGBTQ plus support group. How do you deal with the tension of knowing that at any point a coworker could walk in, someone else from your life could walk in? Do you think there's going to be a point at which you stop co-running that group with your mom?
Yes. I actually, honestly, between you, me, and all of your thousands of listeners,
I'm not there
I
yet,
did.
but thank you.
Well, whatever. I just assume the best.
I appreciate it. We'll pretend that's the truth.
Yes, it is in my brain. You're like semi-famous and everything. Um, I kind of wanted to stop running the group like a few years ago, and basically when the pandemic happened, like pre-pandemic, we used to meet in person. Pre-pandemic, but like 6 months before, I did have someone from my office come to the group. The amount of terror that I could see in the face of the person who showed up, I felt so awful. I mean, I was terrified too because I'm like, oh God, this is someone from work and no one knows I'm trans. And this wasn't someone who was like in my group or anything. Like, I have a pretty big office and like they just worked on a different floor, but I visually knew who they were. Honestly, like out of nowhere, we just happened to be on a call together, but we really don't work together, but I know who they are. So yeah, just the amount of fear that I saw in their face. And then after the meeting, they like bolted. So I didn't even get a chance to like decompress with them and be like, hey, like, obviously I'm not out to anyone at the office. Obviously, you're not going to say anything to anyone at the office, right? But they were just coming out, hadn't told anyone. And that kind of made it worse too, because I was like, oh God, this is your first experience. Like, with a support group or anything and you're seeing someone from work, like I felt terrible. Luckily, again, this person who I never really see, the next day at work, we just happened to arrive at the same
Oh
time.
gosh.
So it was like the stars aligned. So we got to have that like decompression time, and I was like, "Hey, like, don't even. I'm so sorry that this interaction like happened, but I'm not going to tell anyone. Like, your secret's safe with me, essentially, as long as like my secret's safe with you, and we have that kind of mutual understanding." Which it did. The conversation didn't even necessarily need to happen. It was obviously understood, but I felt really bad about that. But that was the first time, and then once we went virtual, I had I think at least one or two other people reach out to us saying, "Hey, I'm interested in the support group," and one of them actually works like in my department, like with my group. I work closely with her, so she has no idea that I know because I wasn't going to tell her like, "Hey, I work here too, and I know exactly who you are based on your unique name." It really terrified me because I had just really had that interaction with the first person, and then this other lady who is a gossip, and I would never tell her that I'm trans. It became a little too close to home, and her emailing me was the decision that was like the cause of the decision that we made to never go back in person. Because now with Zoom, we don't post any of the Zoom information online or whatever virtual chat program we use in the future or whatever. Like, we don't post any of that online. You have to email us for the link and then we send it out to like a distribution list. But I get to kind of like do like a vetting process. So depending on how people email us, I might email them back saying, "Can you please tell me a little bit about yourself?" Because we've had, people who try to come
Right.
who shouldn't come over the years. So this has allowed us to even make it like an even safer space for like selfishly for myself and my mom, but also for the people who do attend. Yeah, at some point, I think we'll definitely fully close down the group. But it being on Zoom and me being able to kind of vet the group who comes and like make sure that they're coming for the right reasons and have the right mindset kind of allows it to be a little bit more comfortable for myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and it can be hard to find people to take it over and who take it as seriously.
yeah,
Because, like you said, you want it to be this safe space. And, like, I think of because most of my experiences with P flag chapters, and I've been in a few of them, and they used me for their speakers bureau. I actually have like another gig coming up this month, and I'm like, oh, I'm a little rusty. It's been a few years. I hope I know what I'm doing. But yeah, it's gonna be through Zoom, and it's gonna be for the P flag LA chapter. So I'm really excited. But I've jokingly said in the past, and still say it to this day, that groups in particular like P Flag are just kind of like a dumping ground for parents whose kids have just come out to them. But I mean, it's not just that; it's allies trying to figure out how to support a loved one, be it a friend or otherwise. It's also couples who have been married for a long time, and like then all of a sudden maybe the husband realizes that he's gay, and then they're like, well, now what? We've built this whole life together. Does this mean
right.
like we divorce and I go like find someone else, or like what? And like all sorts of things come and happen. So yeah, like keeping that as safe as possible for everyone's really important. So I hope it doesn't have to close down, but I do understand if no one else is willing to take it over, that sometimes that's just like a necessary step. And
Yeah, we have a
yeah.
lot of people who come for like a year, 2, 3 years, and then kind of go away. So we haven't, besides like maybe two or three people, we haven't had any like significantly long-term members who are still around. And I also, doing this for so long, having that parent-child dynamic to our support groups, like because my mom is involved, it really makes a huge difference because
Yeah.
we have a lot of parents who come and they get to see kind of both sides of the story, basically. And my mom and I are very like we have a great relationship, um, and we are very open in the group about how she made me feel when I transitioned and how I made her feel when I came out and the crying that she did in the shower so that I wouldn't hear it. You know, like we're very emotionally mature, I guess, maybe in our relationship in that way, and we have that kind of open dialogue. And I think it's made a big difference, and if we were to really close it down, like it would be very hard to replicate that. And it is what we're looking for, but it's like nearly impossible to find. So
I love so Dominic has this like huge ass mug with all of this like ice and was that water in the straw?
yeah, it's water in a straw because I'm weird.
And he just like drank it weird at me. I don't know. Like he just made it awkward. He made really weird eye contact with me. Anyway, this is why I don't do a video podcast is because anyway, it's fine.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So talking about your mom a little bit more because you're stealth, right? It kind of requires all of the people that you are open with about being trans to have, well, yeah, it talks about boundaries and agreements around like who can know and things like that. So was it hard to have the conversation with her about like, hey, so this is great, but like also I need you to not tell people anymore?
Yeah, I guess I thought we had the conversation about it, and then when I like first transitioned and everything, you know, I didn't want too many people to know, but I also recognized that it's important for my mom to have people who she feels comfortable and can talk to about it because obviously it's a huge impact to her life in addition to my own, but I had to be respectful and like aware of the impact that it also had on her life, especially because like I'm an only child and like you know when you have a daughter you have all these like expectations of what's going to happen in your daughter's life, and then I was like just kidding, I'm a guy, surprise. You know, but then like thinking back to like when I was a kid, like I'm Jewish, so I had a bat mitzvah, not a bar mitzvah. Well, translating that in her head, it gets difficult for her. It really does. And that's not to say she's not on board or anything. It's just difficult to have to translate constantly for her, like in her head. For me, I don't seem to have as much of a struggle with it as she does, but she seems to really struggle with it. So I would say that we talked about it, and I thought she was only telling a few people, and she does still only tell a few people, but she's told significantly more people than I thought she has. She lives in a 55 plus community and has made, you know, a ton of new friends since moving there over the past few years. These are people I'm never going to meet. They're in a different state. Like it kind of she told more people than I expected. She only told people who she's really close to and who she knows is going to be okay with it. Or, for instance, in the pool, she met this lady whose granddaughter had just come out as trans and she had no idea about anything about it. So my mom took the opportunity to help like educate and help her in that way. Although I didn't want her to tell the amount of people that she has told, I haven't really bothered to bring it up again because I took a step back and I really thought about it and I said, you know, I'm never going to meet these people. These are 100% my mom's friends in a completely different state. If I meet them once, fine, but like they have no impact in my day-to-day life. So if it makes my mom's life easier and it really causes her to have like less stress in her day-to-day life, does it really matter to me if these people know? And when I really thought about it, I thought, you know what? It doesn't because they're not meeting my wife's parents or, like I said, have any impact in my day to day life. Maybe I meet them a few times throughout the course of my life, but otherwise I'm never speaking to them. So, although my mom has told more people than I would like, you know, ultimately I haven't bothered to bring up the conversation again because it doesn't make a difference at the end of the day.
Is that something that you're worried about for the official wedding ceremony coming up? Which I should just explain to folks
Yes.
that because of the pandemic, you were to get married last year. You were going to have to move the ceremony. And so you just got married anyway, but now you're like having the ceremony this year.
Right.
Were you worried at all during the first round, or are you worried about this upcoming round of like what might happen or slip?
Yeah, so I I do have this friend who I met on a video game many years ago, and I mean, I've spoken to him for many years, obviously, and I reconnected with him, or I never disconnected, but like I saw him in person, I should say, a few years ago. We were just talking and blah 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 blah, and then he said like, "Oh, I had said to so and so like, oh, you're my trans friend," and I was like, "Dude, like." I'm not your token trans friend, although I guess to him I am, but I was like, I'm really not out to anyone anymore. So when I was thinking about inviting him to my wedding, I haven't messaged him about it. I'm torn on it. I feel like I've known him since I was like 16. He was 14. He's an adult now. Like we're both adults. And I feel like as an adult, he kind of has matured a lot over the years, and I feel like I can kind of talk to him as an adult and be like, "Listen, you can't." But I also intentionally we made like a mock seating chart, and I intentionally put him at a table where everyone at that table just happens to have known me for long enough to know that I'm trans. If the worst case scenario happens, he know like everyone else already knows at that table, so it's not a big deal. And I don't see him like talking to a bunch of people at a different table because he knows literally no one else coming except his girlfriend who's coming with him. So I was worried about it in the beginning, and then I was able to like put together a table that I think will work. So I'm less worried about it now.
Yeah.
But that's really it for concerns for our wedding and stuff like that.
Dominic, you have a wife and a cute doggo, and you're hopefully buying your first home soon. Fingers crossed. Don't want to jinx it. But what kind of conversations have you had to have with your wife throughout all of this? Like when you met and as your relationship has grown?
She's been a trooper, I will say. Considering she didn't really have like any involvement in the LGBTQ plus space before meeting me, when I told her I was trans, I was expecting it to not be taken too well because we had already gone on a number of dates. I'm a bad person. I will recognize this, but I waited too long to tell her. Like I really genuinely did. I should have told her sooner. I was kind of like I hadn't really dated too much since since transitioning, and I just like it's a hard thing to navigate. Like I don't know what the right time is because if I put it on my profile somewhere, like that knocks out so many people that maybe if they did get to know me, they would be more open to it. Um,
Yeah.
so I took that approach, like I was essentially stealth, but also because I'm stealth in my life, like I couldn't put it on my profile because then what if I see someone I know or who knows me, and then they're like, "Oh, this is a fun fact I learned about you on the internet."
Right. I don't know. Again, I would just gently nudge, like, and I know this is controversial. I feel like we have a right to decide at what point we want to disclose.
Yep.
I think it makes sense that before things might get more intimate, that we might want to have a conversation about body parts and things like that and what feels affirming and good. But for me, I've just chosen to say, you know what, I'm just going to be upfront about it in my profile because by nature of my they them pronouns anyway, people are like, well, what's going on there? So I feel like I kind of have to, but like, yeah, the anxiety
Hmm.
of waiting for the right time and feeling like I'm lying, even though I know I'm not, and just all of that. And then I feel like I have to answer things differently because stumbling awkwardly through trying to be as authentic as possible, like for me, it just feels easier and better to just like come out with it strong in the beginning. However, for everyone, I think it's just like a super personal decision of making sure that like you feel safe and all of that too. So for whatever that's worth, hopefully you'll never have to date again because
Hopefully. Well,
you are
because
married and everything, but
right.
yeah.
Well, now because we're getting that second wedding, I like to joke and say like, "Oh, my future second wife." And then when like once we get married again, I'm gonna be like my second wife, and they'll be like, "Oh, you've been divorced?" No, just married twice to the same person.
Yeah, you love her so much, you're getting married again. It's great.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, no. So she, I'll never forget when I came out to her as trans. I don't remember what I said at this point, especially because I was probably in such a daze with anxiety. But I came out to her, whatever, and I know she sat there and took a second to process it. And I literally said to her after, because it was in my apartment, we were sitting on my couch, and I said to her, "Do you want to leave?"
Mm.
And she said, "No, I'm here, aren't I?" And I was like, "Oh, all right, you're here. You are here. Yes, you are physically here." I'll like never forget that response from her. Because it just kind of validated like, no, like well, at the time, I like you for you, and that kind of doesn't make a difference to me. And then over the years, things have come up. So really, the biggest one for us with navigating is like whether or not we're going to have kids and what that looks like and how, because there's obviously various ways now open to us.
Yeah.
In the beginning of our relationship, she had said to me, I have always wanted to adopt. That has always been something that I've like wanted to do. I would say as we've gotten older, although maybe she wants to adopt at some point, she is more and more leaning towards having a biological child, which obviously creates some additional questions her family might ask
Yeah.
with the process and everything. So I would say we haven't really officially decided anything right now. We're waiting another year or two just due to stuff going on in our lives before we really like make that final decision. But we do talk about it regularly. It's definitely something that either way she has to kind of process, and because it's not the way, growing up you imagine it to happen, let's say. She struggles with it, definitely. It's hard also being the spouse of like a trans person because there's not too many people you can like talk to about it, especially because I am stealth, and I do feel guilty for, I guess, lack of a better way of putting it, but for like putting her in that position to like even have that anguish about it. Like I feel really guilty about it, like at my core. I know it's nothing that like I did wrong or like, it's just the situation is the situation. But for me personally, like it does make me feel really guilty that like I can't like provide for her, I guess, like the ease of biological children. For lack of a better way of putting it, that could have happened had I just been born like biologically male. But again, you could be born biologically male and like still not be able to have that happen naturally, let's say. Anyway, so you don't know what you don't know, or I
Yeah.
guess the potential was always out there regardless. That has been probably, in regards to me being trans, probably the biggest hurdle that we'll have to face. Because then also, like, when you have a kid, like, when do you tell the kid you're trans? Like, you don't want a 2 or 3 year old going to grandma and grandpa who don't know and being like, oh, daddy said that blah blah blah, and grandma and grandpa are like, what?
Right. Yeah.
So I don't even have literally a single idea on how to navigate that, and like when to tell a child, and how do you ensure that they don't go telling people. Like, I really, that's one of those things that I think I'm just gonna like have to have my fingers crossed and like do the best that we can do. And maybe there'll be other trans parents who maybe are stealth like me who have like posted about it online by that point, because I genuinely, I am completely lost on how to navigate that, and I have no idea at all. But I have a few years, I guess, to worry about that, is what I keep telling myself until it sneaks up on me.
My my personality wants to be like, well, welcome to the Love Doctor. But I
You're
literally
right.
have a friend who runs a podcast called The Love Doctor, and I've been on it twice now, and she's been on this podcast too. So I'm like, well, can't do that. But no, I mean, it's a genuine concern. And that's why I come back to, at the end of the day, it's a personal decision. And I don't think you're tricking anyone, which is what some people's minds can go to. And you don't owe it to anyone other than to know it for yourself. And yeah, like you said, it's just this complicated thing because it's great scientifically, all of the different ways that we can have families now, not even just like adoption, like you said, but just scientific breakthroughs and like using one person's egg and like the other person can be a carrier of that egg and just
Yeah.
all these other parts so that everyone has like a part in it, right? But yeah, there's just a lot to think about. And I know that part of it too is just like not wanting your wife's family to find out because of what could potentially happen, especially with them being conservative and some of the things that you've told me in confidence that they've said that would give you pause for wanting to tell them in the first place. So,
Yes.
yeah, no, I hear that. That sounds really stressful. And I hope you're able to get the support and the space that you need to figure that out.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm curious about if there's anything that you like about being trans.
Proud maybe isn't necessarily the word that I'd use, but I am maybe I'll use it. I'll use it for now and see if I can think of a better word. But I am proud, let's say, of the impact that I've been able to make on other people. So, like we've been talking about throughout the course of our conversation, like you were really pivotal to my transition. I know that I have been that for a lot of people, especially with the support group and everything that my mom and I have. And I feel really good about being able to really help people. I want people when they're transitioning, especially, to do it in a safe way. Like I want to show people that there is life after transition because I was a very depressed kid, like didn't really see a future for myself, and then I transitioned, and you start to see more of the positives of life, I guess, as you progress through life and grow up and everything. But I feel like that has also made a big difference. So I'm proud of that part of it, and that's kind of where I think that's like where I internally battle with myself on a day-to-day basis because I want that stealth, boring life, but also at the same time, like I do recognize the impact that I've made on other people, and I feel like that it's extremely important for someone to have. And I do want to make that impact on people. So
Yeah, I mean, and selfishly as your friend, I would just say that even if you didn't do all of that stuff as far as the speaking engagements and the group you're running with your mom and all of that, that I would still be proud of you and that your life still has value. Because again, like knowing all of the conversations we've had across our friendship and the dark places we've been in and shared with each other, it just makes my heart happy to know that you're happy. Like,
mhm,
if this quote unquote boring life that you're leading was like all you wanted, I'm so fucking happy for you
right,
because it's what you wanted. You are living the life. Like I said, you're on the verge of hopefully getting your first home very soon, and you're married and you have your annoyingly cute dog and everything. And like, I'm just so happy that was possible in your lifetime
thank you.
because it could have been a different story for you.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm just fucking glad that you're here and you're living the life that you want to live.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, we're getting all sappy with each other. It's great.
We really are.
I've almost ugly cried twice, and I pulled it together. Um,
I wasn't going to say anything, but at one point I was like, "Are you tearing up?"
yes, shut up. It's
Uh,
fine. Crying is good. Release is good. It's just then
sure.
I'm worried it'll take me a minute to stop to be
No, I
coherent.
I can't, like, once I start crying, that's it.
Well,
That's
I
the
mean,
end.
voice dysphoria. I don't talk about this, and maybe this is a good place for me to say this before I ask you about your allyship tip to round out the conversation. But like, I experience voice dysphoria to this day.
Really?
I've luckily always had, and I'm nodding my head. I've luckily always had like a fairly lower voice. I was thinking about my early internet days when I'd have like calling cards and like call my friends and like trying to like force my voice lower and shit. Cause, well, that's a whole story for another day, folks. I can tell you about the time I was Blake and catfishing people, but not today. Not today. Let's save that for another episode. Yeah, like even to this day, and even with like how much testosterone has lowered my voice, I still have voice dysphoria. And one of the worst moments of it is when I do get emotional, because whether it's crying or like being really angry, my voice tends to want to go up higher, and then I hate it, and then like I can't do anything to get it to come back down, and it just gives me like horrible voice dysphoria. Even with like the podcast, I actually just had someone yesterday tell me that I have like a voice for podcasting, and I was like, "Thank you." And then I was thinking through,
I think you do. Like, it's really nice.
"Well, thanks, baby." Um, yeah. No,
No, you do.
God,
You have a very I don't know how to say, but you have like a very pleasant voice to me.
thank you. Part of it too is like sometimes our voices sound weird to us when we hear our own voice, and voice dysphoria is a thing. So I don't know. I guess I just wanted to offer that too because even my previous guest from the last episode, Charlie, talked about it. And yeah, I just wanted to honor that. Yeah, it's something that I struggle with too. And there's certain ways that manifests. So, all of that said, just thank you for this conversation. And
Thank you.
yeah, yeah, baby. I love you. I love you
I
so
love you
much.
so much.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, If people are still listening, what's one allyship tip you'd like for everyone listening to consider?
Be open to others' paths that might not like align to your own. That's the best way I can put it. Like everyone has to transition in the way that's best for them. And that might not be the norm for maybe what people are seeing in the media or anything, but that doesn't make it wrong or, it's still valid at the end of the day. Like people have to do what's best for them. So that would be my tip. Be open to others' paths.
Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed this non traditional episode. It's got to be my favorite of the season because we were just deep in conversation and our history made for a rich discussion. Dominic, thank you again for your vulnerability in this episode and for being such a wonderful friend all of these years. I love you. Before I jump into the final 3 self-reflection questions, I wanted to offer some resources to any parents out there who are affirming or want to be like Dominic's mom. Each resource I'm recommending was because a mom fought for her kid and wanted to do more. PFLAG National is wonderful and there's 400 plus chapters all over. If you don't have any near you, you could start one. There's also Mama Dragons, Mama Bears, and Free Mom Hugs, respectively. Again, all started by moms, which speaks to the power of what one person can do. They all have varying resources that are worth checking out, including stuff that makes you want to ugly cry in the best way, like being a stand-in for weddings or other events. Okay, final 3 coming at ya. Number 4, if I have a transgender friend and or loved one in my life, do I make sure people know they are trans when talking about them or introducing them? Why? Number 5, have I checked in broadly with my friends to understand their boundaries? And number 6, have I ever dated anyone who is trans? If not, would I be open to it? Why or why not? Visit allyshipisaverb.com for any resources and a full transcript of the episode. And remember, sometimes allyship means being open to others' paths.